In this episode, we talk about how to define your ideal client. Welcome to episode 73 of the Honest Entrepreneur Show. My name's Tom Ross, and let's get into it. Guys, I'm still riding? I can't even talk. Let's leave all of that in, because this is the Honest Entrepreneur as ever. I was about to say I'm riding this wave of motivation still, but clearly I'm also tired or something, because it's the end of the day when we normally record this, and my mind's all over the place. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm super into work at the minute. I'm about to step everything up, so watch this space, guys.
This question is from Miranda. I have a hard time narrowing down my ideal client. Would you share some tips on how to figure that out?
Hey Miranda, welcome to the show. Great question. I think this is a really important exercise, and you are not alone. All kinds of people, especially creatives it seems, struggle with this. I hear it all the time. I probably get at least one DM every single day with this particular question. So for me, it is a pretty simple exercise. I think all you need to do is brain dump, as in empty every single potential scenario and persona and ideal client out of your head onto a sheet of paper. And no ideas are bad, okay? Some of them might not work out, but I would just get it all out and stop bouncing around in your head and just start kind of putting it on a bit of paper and starting to organize it. So think of anyone and everyone who you are like, I could potentially do work for them. It could be a fleeting idea where you're like, in Miranda's case, she does lettering and calligraphy. Really, really talented, by the way. Check her out. Hopefully we can link her up in the YouTube description. But yeah, for Miranda, with her calligraphy services, maybe she has a fleeting thought of I'd love to do that for teachers one day. And so put that down. That's completely fine. Anyone and everyone who you think potentially is going to want to pay you for your services, just get it down onto a sheet of paper. And then from there, I think you need to start looking at it more objectively and start organizing and collating those ideas. And there's a few things to think about here. One of them is, how viable do you think they're going to be as a market? I.e., are they actually going to have the money and the means to pay you for your services? And to give you an example of this, when I was in design and I was more heavily in web design, one of the early types of client that I tried was bands and musicians, because I knew a few bands. I knew people from college. And so I thought, that's going to be a good in. It wasn't. It turns out bands have no money. So I think at one point I was trying to charge $100 for a website as a favor, and even that was too much money because they were just dead broke. So I learned pretty quickly, bands, not a good market for creatives, guys. So that was one little foray there. But hopefully you can see, if you start actually categorizing how these different audience personas and client personas are going to perform in terms of the funds and the business side, that is one variable. Another variable is, how well do you feel like you know and understand these audiences, along with how well do you really want to serve them? Are you going to enjoy working with these people? Because there might be people, let's say investment bankers out there, but let's say you look at investment bankers as one potential client type, and you say, well, they've definitely got the money, but then you're like, actually, whenever I talk to investment bankers, I find them really boring, really money orientated, and I don't really want to work with clients like that. So they're not really for me. And that's fine too. So what you're trying to do is kind of find the sweet spot where it's people that you love working with, people that you can ideally deeply understand and empathize with to let you serve them better, people that excite you. You're going to actually find passion in working with them, and people that can pay. So when you get all of those things, that tends to be a good indication that you should target those types of people. But it is an exercise. You might have to kiss a few frogs before you find your prince, Miranda. In my case, it took me years until I landed on my ideal client type, which it turned out was solo entrepreneurs that generally earn 6 figures or more a year. And why this worked for me is I could empathize and relate to them because I was a fellow entrepreneur, so I could speak their language and feel very comfortable and at ease with them. they equally were successful enough and had enough money that they could pay me decently for my services. And my particular services of web design and improving their conversions was a very good fit in terms of the value proposition that I offered them, because I could step into their business that was making 10 grand a month and then walk away with it making 15 or 20 grand a month when I implemented a redesigned website that had been better optimized for their needs. So that is like, for me, a perfect example of this, but I definitely didn't get there overnight. I bounced around. It wasn't just the band. I remember I originally tried like entrepreneurs because I was like, I like these people, but then I was doing really early stage entrepreneurs. And so the issue was, okay, they don't really have the money and they're really unsteady and they're not happy to invest. So I learned, it wouldn't work with people who were starting out or just had an idea or were getting something off the ground. I worked really well with the people that had something established that was earning regular money like clockwork every month, where I could just step in, add my value and improve the scenario. So it was a case of everyone wins. So in your case with calligraphy, have that thing. Is it going to be people who are getting married and connected to the wedding scenes? Maybe, maybe not. Because maybe you look at that and there's an issue of like, well, once I've done the job for them, they're not going to need me again. So maybe you pivot and you're like, okay, I'm going to do wedding planners because they're going to give a constant stream of clients. So you're like, wedding planners, cool. Well, that's good. And they can pay me okay. But actually, I'm dealing with like all these bridezillas and crazy grooms and things like that. So, I don't really want to work in that space at all because I'm not getting the enjoyment factor. So like I say, dump it all down from your head, collate it, organize it to the best of your ability. So you're going in with some direction and I hope it's going to work out. But then taste and try these different things. And probably the first one you pick won't be the perfect model forever. So then pivot and move on and try something slightly different based on what your gut tells you and what the results and the data tells you. I hope that helps, Miranda. Question of the day. Who is your audience? Do you know who you're serving? Thank you so much for watching this episode. I appreciate you guys so much. I'm really enjoying the YouTube show. If you are too, then be sure to hit the subscribe icon and tick the little bell to get notifications when I post new content on this platform.